Hey everybody, this is GGB. Again, I'm going to apologize for two things so far. Number one, I'm sorry this isn't my normal setup still. If you want to know the long story, if you were watching my live stream up in Pennsylvania, my tripod actually broke. The thing that holds the camera on just absolutely crumbled. It just snapped apart. We tried gluing it back together. It really didn't stick, so I'm trying to buy a new one right now, so it's on the way from Amazon, but you're going to have to participate with this little weird setup for the time being. I'm also going to apologize for, number one, the video that was supposed to come out before this. It came out late, and again, I missed yesterday's video, and mainly because there's two reasons for that. It's my first week of school. I'm trying to figure out the balance again. It's kind of hard to figure out the balance between doing schoolwork and getting these videos out in time. And then also, the fact is I got a new phone, and it wasn't really working. Normally, the way I edit, I don't know if it's a long, complicated process, but basically what I normally do is I record on my phone, then I plug it into my Mac, and I have to transfer it from my phone to the Mac Photos, and then I got to bring it down. I got to download it from the Photos, and then I got to edit it in iMovie, move it from downloads to iMovie. It's not super duper complicated, but it's enough that it's a longer process than you would like, but it's just the only way I figured out how to work on the Mac. And I really can't edit videos all the well on my phone. But since I got a new phone, it wasn't really whenever I plugged it in, it wasn't transferring my photos to the Mac. I was really annoying. That's why the last video came out late. I had to buy a special cord just for it to transfer. It was really annoying. But we're back. We're going to do this one. I'm sitting at only 1 point for this week. Because I'm going to be honest. Yesterday I was going to pick Wisconsin. I was going to pick Ohio State to upset Wisconsin. That's what I was going to do. That was my plan. I feel like it was a good plan. That did not work out. Wisconsin actually looks like a really good Big Ten team. We'll get into that a little bit later in the episode. But that didn't work out, so I'm not feeling that bad about getting the video out, except for the fact is I didn't get content to you guys yesterday, which I'm sorry about. I want to get content out to you today. So what's interesting about this video is it's Big Ten. It's only one conference, so we're going to talk a lot about the Big Ten today. Yeah, we'll go over the two upsets yesterday that I thought were significant, and we'll talk about for a little bit. The Big East had a big upset yesterday, and it was DePaul upset number 20 Seton Hall. And if you didn't know, Seton Hall stood to move up way up the depth chart, right? Seton Hall right now, if considering the loss, now sits in 8th place in the Big East, right? There are only 11 teams in the Big East. So it's kind of crazy to think about that Seton Hall's so down low in the 20th in the entire country. But with a win yesterday, that would have moved them to 3-2 instead of 2-3. And that would have moved them all the way up to 4th place in the Big East, only behind Villanova, Providence, and Creighton. Again, that would be huge considering how good those four teams are. Instead, DePaul pulled off the huge upset. And that's nice for DePaul is they were sitting at 0-5 in last place in the Big East. Again, not a big movement, but in my opinion, I would much rather be second to last than last. That means I'm not the worst team. It's like I would much rather beat the Detroit Lions than the Jacksonville Jaguars because I'm better. I'm not the worst team in the NFL. I'm the second worst team in the NFL. This is the second worst team in the Big East right now. At least though Georgetown hasn't played as many games. DePaul has played 6. Georgetown has only lost 2. And while those losses aren't exactly great, again, they lost to Butler and Marquette. Again, those aren't the worst losses to have on your resume, but big win for DePaul. And then the other upset that I don't know if you guys noticed yesterday was in the Pac-12, Oregon pulled off a massive upset against number 3 UCLA, or I think number 4. They might be number 4. They're number 3. I'm right. So, anyways, Oregon almost blew that game. I don't know if you were watching it, but Oregon had they had a 2-point lead with 8 seconds left. They had the ball. All they got to do is pass it in and not get turn the ball over. They decided to do the opposite of that. They passed the ball in and then immediately just pass it straight to a UCLA guy just standing under the basket for no reason. I don't get the logic there. Just, bro, worst case scenario, if you hold on to the ball, they get a jump ball. They actually have to set up a play and run a play. Yeah, throw it to the UCLA guy under the basket. That makes sense, bro. But still, Oregon's able to escape with a win in overtime. They moved to 3-2. Now that actually ties them for 5th place in the Pac-12. And while Oregon's been having not the best year, they're not. That's not bad. And that what really hurt UCLA was with a win, they would have still been tied for 1st place with Arizona. Arizona got a big win over Oregon State last night. I'm sorry, no, Arizona got a big win over Colorado last night. USC got a big win over Oregon State last night. UCLA ended up losing to Oregon. Now sits at 2-1 and in 4th place. So they go from being tied for 1st to being in 4th. Simply with one loss. Pac-12 is really close this year. Again, another loss would drop them all the way down to Washington levels. Colorado and Oregon would both pass them. So this is a very close, tight, big Pac-12 this year. There's a reason 3 of them are in the top 6. This is a pretty good conference this year. Now let's go to the 2 games we have today. We've got some interesting games in the Big Ten. Not super interesting, but again, it's enough. There's 2 top 25 teams playing today. And the interesting one is at 5:30 we got Nebraska, which sits at 6-11, traveling to number 7 Purdue, which sits at 13-2. Purdue favored by 20.5 points, huge margin on FS1. The interesting thing about Purdue is they're 7th in the country. Obviously, everyone would think they're really good, but if you look at the numbers, they're 8th in the Big Ten. They're only 2-2 in conference. They are not even close to the top. They're closer to the bottom, honestly. If the season ended today, I don't know. Oh, shoot. I don't remember how the Big Ten thing goes, but they would definitely not get a 2-day bye. The 2 teams that would get 2-day byes would be the ones that are at the top: Michigan State, Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Those would be the teams getting a 2-day bye. Purdue would not get that, and it's really weird to think of that because they're 7th in the country, but they're not doing all that great in Big Ten play. Now, with a win, you move to 3-2. You pass Penn State, you pass Indiana, and honestly, if tiebreakers were a thing yet, you would also pass Rutgers with a win. So a huge win here. If you win this game, you're tied for 5th place in the Big Ten. In my opinion, it's way better than being in 8th. Again, you wouldn't get the 2-day bye yet, but you're at least getting there. I mean, this would be a big game for Purdue. I mean, you're getting up there, guys. Started off poorly, but playing some pretty good basketball at the moment. And then Nebraska. You got Nebraska. They're just playing the worst basketball in the Big Ten. They may not be the most disappointing team. Like, let's be honest, not a lot of people expected a lot out of Nebraska this year. Than Nebraska, they normally aren't that good, guys. They're Nebraska. 4-game losing streak. They're 0-6 in conference. Probably the most disappointing team, in my opinion, is an argument between Michigan or Maryland. Maryland was a team that made it to, I think, the Sweet 16 last year. And then they're just bad this year. Michigan made it all the way to the Elite 8 last year and then ended up losing. So another disappointing team there. These are just disappointing basketball teams. I don't know how else to say it right now. They're not playing the basketball I believe they should be playing at the moment. They definitely have the talent there, which is why. But with a Purdue win, obviously they could rise up. With a Purdue loss, you fall to 2-3, and you're tied with Iowa. Obviously, you have the better record by 1 game. Iowa would be 12-4. You'd be 13-3. So you would have the tiebreaker there. But instead of being in 8th place, you would be tied for 8th place, which just doesn't seem like a huge difference. But again, that would drop you farther. A loss for Nebraska, again, you're not going farther down, but in bottom place. And a win for Nebraska, as huge as it would be in conference, they would be still sitting at 1-6, and everyone else above them, the 3 teams at the end of them, are at 1-4. Again, you'd be getting closer there, but regardless of what happens tonight, Nebraska will be in 14th place tomorrow. The other big game we got today, and this is the one I'm probably going to pick, so I'll go a little bit more in depth into it. You got 8 o'clock. You got Michigan, which is at 7-6, not having the best year. They're really not playing all that well. And while 8-6 seems like really good for Penn State basketball, you're surprised by how decent they are. They're actually putting up fights against Purdue. Everyone, remember, Michigan was a top 10 team to start the year. They were a team everyone expected to make a Final Four run again. And Michigan is not even in the top 25 anymore. They're 7-6, 1 game away from 500. This is a team that is not playing at the high level of basketball we expected them to play at the beginning of the year. But again, they still have the talent there, which is what makes Michigan a scary basketball team. And then you got number 25, Illinois. I don't understand why Illinois is so low. They have a 12-3 record, right? They're only 25th, but they're tied for first place in the Big Ten, one of the best basketball conferences in the entire country. Outside of maybe the Big East, Big Ten's probably the best. Big 12's arguable in there. They got some really good basketball teams this year. But the Big Ten is normally really good. You got teams like Michigan State this year, Illinois, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Ohio State. You got Purdue. There's some other good teams that I think are really underrated. Indiana is a team I think I could see making the tournament. Minnesota's a little bit on a down stretch right here, but they sit at 10-4. Iowa's also at 12-4. They definitely have the talent there. Penn State is a team everyone's kind of sleeping on. There's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten. Northwestern, if they can get their stuff together. Obviously, Maryland and Michigan both have the talent if they can get their stuff together. Rutgers is just kind of sitting there in 5th place, but honestly not doing all that well overall wise. I don't know. I really like. I mean, Illinois is a team I've fallen in love with this year. I thought they were really good last year. Obviously, they went out early on. They ended up losing to Loyola Chicago in the first round. But I was always a huge fan of Ayo Dosunmu. But Kofi Cockburn is, again, a great player. He's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal basketball player. And I love watching big men play. They're so much fun. I don't know. My favorite players in the NBA, just period, are watching big men. I love watching Joel Embiid play. I love watching Jokic play. I love watching Zion Williamson play. These are big men. I love watching them play basketball. That's my favorite position. That's why at Penn State, my favorite player is Don Hara. I love all these guys, and I love watching them play. That's why I like watching Illinois play, but it's also why I like watching Michigan play. Hunter Dickerson is one of the best players in the entire country, in my opinion. This is why I think Michigan has a chance of pulling off the upset. Again, they're 10-point underdogs, but again, Michigan has the talent there. I think they're a good enough basketball team, and that's why I think I'm going to pick the Wolverines to pull off the upset. Please, Wolverines, give it to me. I need a win. I'm only sitting at 1 point heading into the weekend. Need a win here today. If no upsets happen, that would also keep me technically alive. Even if no upsets happen, I mean, if an upset happens and I didn't pick it, I would still technically be alive, but I'd be in a horrible position. I need a win here. Give me Michigan to upset Illinois. Everybody, this is GGB saying adios, amigos.